I'm streaming and I'm live, and hopefully you can see me and hear me, and hopefully the music in the background stopped. There was some question about whether it stopped when I meant it to earlier on the earlier stream. So I think it did though. So good afternoon. Welcome to Applied Digital Studies GTSC 395 class at UMW. I'm Professor Zach Whalen, and I'm going to be teaching today online using the Twitch stream. So I've got a few viewers. Looks good. I don't know how many are planning to watch today online, but I wanted to cover a few things today that relate to kind of the plan for who's going to be who's going to be where, and what my expectations are in terms of your participation in those different aspects of the class, or different versions of the class, really. So a couple of things. You notice if you're just tuning in now, you'll see that I've changed my layout a little bit. So I've got the browser over here, or whatever else I need to pull up. I've got our logo up here, and then down here I've got the live stream chat channel. This is straight from Discord, so it's going to show up here on the stream. And I did that so that if you are watching this in the archive, if you're watching this after the fact, then you'll be able to kind of understand and follow things a little bit better. If I'm responding to something that somebody puts in the chat, you'll see it here when I do. So it will make a little bit more sense, and it won't just be me, reading it out loud. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that's okay. Of course, if you notice, this is on the screen. So if you would like to change your nickname to something that is not your real name, I know many of you already have done that, but if you have not yet and you would like to, you are certainly welcome, and I encourage you to change your nickname in Discord so that it is something else, so that when it shows up here, it's not your real name. But that is up to you. Just know that if you post here, it will show up on the stream and then on the YouTube archives. So bear that in mind if you would like to not appear that way. That's your choice. In fact, I will not kind of make that choice for you. I will, it's not required. Okay, so otherwise, I did want to show you a couple of things in Discord and talk a little bit about some logistical things and housekeeping kind of things. So let me get my browser back here and go back to Discord. That's not what I meant to look at. So I wanted to show you a couple of things in Discord because I'm going to pull it up in the browser so that I can control which channel I'm looking at. Let me pull it up here. I'm gonna have to get to it pretty quickly. There we go. So this is just an archive channel that I have a use for, but for now I'm just going to use this as a place to demonstrate a couple things. You're welcome to try it out for this as well. You're also welcome to say hi, by the way, or let me know if you're watching, because I don't know who's watching, and it's always good to know if there's someone out there. But this is, so many of you shared your function that you wrote at the end of your first notebook. I've prompted you to write a function and then share what you came up with in Discord. And a lot of people who did that, you either took a picture of it or a screenshot of it, and that works fine. But Discord also does make it possible to do things a little bit more elegantly and seamlessly. And so I wanted to make sure you know how to do that. If you already shared it via screenshot or photo, that's fine. You don't have to go back and do it. This is just for future reference. So yeah, it looks like someone's already typing in here. So hello, Arrow279, and it is hump day, isn't it? Okay, so the main thing that you should know is in Discord you can use Markdown syntax just like you can in a Colab notebook. As you're typing. And this will be kind of awkward if you're just watching me, but if you're not watching the stream, actually I'll wave back to Andy here. So as you're typing in Discord, you don't have the same what you see is what you get kind of editor where you can click a button for formatting and then it inserts the code for you. You just have to know what the markdown is, but you can make things italic by putting one asterisk around it, or you can make it bold by putting 2. Just like that, if you need to. These are what we call inline styles because it happens in the middle of a line. And we can also do code. You can also type code, and if you notice, I'm using the backtick character. Backtick looks like an apostrophe, but it's actually like a backwards apostrophe, and it's at the top left of your keyboard. So you might not be used to using it very often, but it is up there. If you do one backtick before some code, write your code, and then do another backtick at the end, it's just going to do an inline code style like that, like I just did. Now, I asked you to write a function, and so you might like to do it as a block instead. So let me show you how you can do that as a block. Let me find my sample code here. So this is my starter function, the template, the starter thing I gave you all. So here's how you could share this entirely. Where is it? There it is. In Discord. So you can do 3 backticks like that, and hit enter. I like to do shift enter to give myself another line. Then paste your stuff there, shift enter again, and then 3 backticks. And now this shows up as a block, and it's nicely formatted. It doesn't do syntax highlighting, but it does do the indentation correctly, which is very important for Python. In Python, indentation matters, and it has to do with structure and containment. And if that's wrong, if it gets out of line, then it won't work. So if you were to write Python code in Microsoft Word, that it will not likely translate well into an actual Python environment, because Python environments expect there to be consistent indentation. And if in Microsoft Word doesn't do that. It doesn't enforce that, certainly. So this is a nice way to look at it. It's also, so it prints it in a monospace font, as you can see here, so it's easy to see it as code and interact with it that way. So that's my recommendation for future reference should you need to share blocks of code like that. Whether for sharing because I've asked you to share it, or if you need some help with something, blocks of code, use the 3 backticks for that whenever you can. There's other things too, like you can also do, I think you can also do, let me try it here, block quotes. Yeah, you can, great. That's just with the, I guess, greater than symbol, the this thing, but going this way. I always forget if I'm inverted or not. But that's to show that it's a quote. If you need to do long block quotes for some reason, usually you don't need to do that in Discord. But just in case you ever do, just use these options, right? I mean, you want to make sure that it's not just a place to dump some words, but it's an environment where you can interact with a lot of different tools, including formatted text, but also emoji and GIFs. You can do GIFs in here as well. You can just click the GIF button. Do whatever, or you can, or I think you can also type, you can also type tenor. I think that's going to bring, so you can also bring it up that way with the tenor app. I think Giphy is also in here. Let's see. Yeah, so the same thing with Giphy. Right, so you can either one of those. These are both good ways to kind of show your presence in Discord. And really, what I would like to encourage you to do is think of Discord kind of like our classroom, in the sense that that's how you show you're present and that you're engaged and that you're part of the community. And that doesn't always mean speaking up. Like many of you, if we're in a face-to-face class, many of you probably might not have much to contribute or might not feel motivated to say something out loud in class, but you're there and you participate just by being there and responding to other people. And this is a way that you can do that in Discord as well. And while we are online, and when we are online like this, like today, I'd really like for you to use it to its full advantage. So speaking of other things in Discord, I have put you all in cohorts, and the way that Discord thinks of groups is through what it calls a role. And I've put you all, or I've assigned you to a role corresponding to your cohort. And so that has to do with your face-to-face cohort, or so if you are face-to-face, which section and which cohort, and then if you're not face-to-face, just you're in the online-only cohort. It has occurred to me that there are up to 8 different segments of this class, right? So there's 2 sections, 2 cohorts for each section, and then there's some people that are online and synchronous, and some people that are online and asynchronous. So depending on how you count that, whether you look at those onlines as like all one group or as up to 5 groups, it's like, or 3, I guess. it's a lot. And so basically I'm trying to use these different organizational methods to be able to address each of you individually if I need to, like each group individually if I need to. So if I need to say like everybody that's coming to face-to-face Wednesday, you know, wear a hat. I don't know why I would say that, but like if I need to give you some specific instructions, or if I need to say, you know, actually we're going to have a change of plans, so no meeting today or something like that. It gives me a quick way to be able to address that group. You also can address each other as a group that way. If you need to say, hey, everybody in the Friday section 2 cohort, let's all wear green shirts today. You can do that if you want to. I don't know why you would do that, but again, that's an option. Speaking of options, you also now can add emoji here in Discord. So if you feel like you would like to do that, if there's a particular emoji that you think is appropriate, then feel free to do it. Rachel added Baby Yoda earlier, and I added the gelatin sphere a little while ago, but now you should have the ability to add your own emoji. I believe you can also use emoji from other Discord servers if you are part of other servers that have their own custom emoji. I think you can use them in ours too. I mean, if you want to, obviously. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to say about Discord, I'm trying to, you know, I know there's a lot of information from this class, and same situation I'm sure that you're dealing with in other classes where you're getting all kinds of different channels. I'm going to try to use this archive channel. Like I just did it as a demo just now, but going forward, I've got a bot in here that is supposed to post in this channel whenever I put my archived stream online. So whenever I put that on YouTube, it should post a notification here with a link to it and say, hey, there's a new video on the YouTube, on the archive playlist. So that I haven't done that since I set the bot up, so I have not actually seen if it really works, other than I did a brief test of it. So hopefully that makes sense, but you know, it is kind of redundant because if you can subscribe to me on YouTube, or I think you can subscribe to a playlist on YouTube. If not, at least each YouTube playlist has its own RSS feed, and you can get updates to it that way. I have in the past had Canvas. Canvas is supposed to be able to read RSS feeds, but I found it doesn't. Like it'll read one, or it'll import like once or twice and then stop. So I can do that again, but I have found that it doesn't work reliably. So I wanted to do this as well. Again, just to say, hey, this is available if you're going to be watching this later. It's ready for you to watch. That's my intention anyway. But you know, like a lot of things in this class, we're going to need to kind of be flexible and kind of roll with the changes as they come. So I appreciate your patience as we figure this all out and get our way through it. Okay, so that was a bit of Discord kind of housekeeping. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I needed to talk about with Discord. Yeah, I mean, the main thing is just, you know, be online in Discord whenever you can. Okay, so let me go back to Canvas a bit. So I have a couple things I wanted to talk about in Canvas. First of all, I wanted to talk about the participation assignment. It's not exactly assignment in the sense that I'm not currently asking you to turn anything in, but I wanted to have a little bit of a space here to talk about what I expect from you in terms of participation and kind of why that's important. In a face-to-face class, participation means kind of being there and being part of the conversation or whatever activity happens, and that's pretty easy to do if you're physically present. Like being physically present is a big way to be, you know, to show that you're prepared and that you're engaged. That's much harder to do online, or at least you have to do it. Like you have to actually step into the space that I've presented for you in order for me to know that you're prepared and that you're engaged and that you're participating. And that's important because, I don't know, we've had some experience now taking classes online, and this class has been online only so far. And what I have always observed, and I'm already observing it with you all with this class, is that I don't hear from some of you. Like I can put things out there, I can continue broadcasting and putting things out and putting things out. But if I don't hear from you, I don't know if you're getting it or not. You might be getting it, you might be fine, but if I don't hear from you, I don't know that, and so I worry. And then maybe, you know, I find out a little bit too late that actually you haven't been getting things, you haven't been keeping up with it, and at that point it's too late. I don't want that to be the case. It's just harder for me to monitor that if I'm not seeing you every day. So something just crawled up my leg. What is that? I can't see it now. Okay. So yeah, please do your best to indicate your presence by engaging in Discord whenever we're online. If you're online synchronous, do that right now. If you're online and asynchronous, then it's a little bit harder, but I still would like for you to be on Discord when you're doing whatever it is you're doing for this class, because that gives you that space to interact with other people and kind of show your participation. Sometimes I will have specific things that I'd like for you to do in Discord, but if not, and usually I won't, just kind of being on there while you're working on things for this class or while you're watching the archive can be useful. So I've got here on the participation page so far, as you see, it's not an assignment, there's no points, there's no due date, but just some ideas about kind of norms that I'd like for you to keep in mind. Every day, so like literally every day, 7 days a week even, maybe, take the weekends off, but otherwise, every day of the week, think about, make sure you check your email, make sure you check Canvas announcements and Discord notifications, all three of those, at least once a day. I mean, there may not be anything, there won't be most of the time, but if there is something, it will probably be important. So make sure you check that. It might be a last minute change in the schedule, or it might be a link to something that I need you to look at. It could be all kinds of things. So, oh, and thanks for saying hi. I see a lot of people now saying hi, so good. Hi, glad you're here. But always just get in the habit of checking that. With the Discord app on your phone, if you just have that on your phone, if I send a notification through Discord, you'll see it pop up as a push notification, probably, depending on your settings. If you have your Canvas announcements sending you emails, you'll get those messages through both of those channels, but just kind of take for granted that that's a way to keep on top of things, right? It's pretty common sense, I hope, and also pretty normal. Like it's something that you should be in the habit of doing anyway. Certainly Canvas and email. I know Discord, you may not have used Discord before this class, but once you kind of get in the habit of Discord, it's like any other social network kind of thing, really. It's just a place that you are always kind of aware of and checking in on whenever something is important enough to kind of push through and notify you about. Okay, interestingly, I'm noticing that, so as Arrow279 has posted, I assume it looks like a GIF. Yeah, so you posted the GIF. Interestingly, the live stream widget here does not show the GIF, it just shows the URL to the GIF, so that's interesting that doesn't work that way. I don't know if there's any better way to do it. This widget, by the way, this little thing down here, I got it from Discord. Discord gives you this, and it doesn't let you do anything. You can change the look of it, but you can't change the shape of it. So I would kind of like it to be taller, because I don't need, this logo is not super important. It would be nice to kind of make that, to either make it smaller or take it away, and then make the chat window larger so you could see more, more of a conversation there. But as far as I can tell, you can't actually manipulate that. It's just the same shape. You can change it, you can scale it, but it has to stay, the aspect ratio is not changeable. So I don't know. But that's the one of the things I'm trying to figure out. Oh, excuse me. So the other thing with participation is Monday, Wednesday, Friday when we have class. So as I alluded to earlier, there are several cohorts and modalities and sections. So you are in one of two sections, you're in one of three modalities, and you're in one of 3 or 4 cohorts. It's very complicated. So whatever you are, you should definitely be, if you're synchronous at all through whichever of those modalities, you should always be in Discord during your scheduled time. So 1:40 or 2:50 Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you should be online in Discord. And I can see if you're online. Like I haven't been keeping track or recording attendance or anything, but I can see that there's a bunch of you online right now, which is great. It looks like 22 of us online right now in Discord. So that's great. That's about the right number for this section. So that's good. That means that, assuming that most of you are in this section 2, then that's right. I know some of you that I'm looking at are in section 1, so some crossover, and that's fine, obviously. But just get in the habit of being online in Discord. Think of Discord like the classroom. So if you're not coming to class, if it were a face-to-face class and you weren't coming to class, I would notice that. I'm going to have a harder time, honestly, noticing that in Discord, but that's kind of on you to make sure you're doing that. Or if you can't make it, then doing other things, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so let me show you over here. I have created a couple of discussion threads, and what I want to do with these is provide an alternative way for you to participate in discussions if you can't be online synchronously. So there were 2 conversations last week, or was it Monday? Yeah, it was Monday. Around some of the assigned reading and viewing for the class. Hang the DJ and Merger. And we had a good conversation live, but some of you I know weren't able to be there live for that. And so this Canvas discussion is a place for you to share your thoughts and show me that you were prepared with some ideas, but also really just because I want to see them. I want to see what you thought about some of these things. These are open-ended questions. These aren't questions like to make sure you get the right interpretation, but I'm really curious to see what different people say about it. So these are asynchronous, like they are discussion threads. So they are meant to be kind of longer form things. And there are pros and cons, right? I mean, in a Discord, like a real-time synchronous chat, when I'm leading that, I can kind of follow different threads, and we could go off on different tangents maybe. In the discussion threads in Canvas, I can pose more complicated questions or add other material to it maybe. So there's a kind of a trade-off between those two. I think they are more or less equivalent in terms of effort from you and effort from me. So it's kind of just me. I basically am preparing 2 different versions of that conversation. So if you weren't able to be part of the live chat, then please do contribute to the Canvas discussion thread. You don't have to do both, but if you could not do one, then do the other. That's the basic expectation there. I might go back and add another one maybe for the soft truth story. I might not, I don't know. But I think I definitely will going forward provide conversation spaces in threads here in Canvas. I think you can also create Canvas threads. So if I forget to, or if you think there's some topic that needs to be talked about in a longer form kind of structure, then feel free to do that in Canvas. Okay, so that's what that is. And yeah, let me just kind of click on, show you what I'm doing. Yeah, so this is me with some questions, and then I can see several of you already working on that, so that's great. Thanks for doing that. Okay, great. So that's most of the housekeeping kind of things and logistical kind of things. That's kind of the big things I wanted to get through today as far as making sure you do things. Oh, actually, one more I just thought of. I'm thinking of things. Your Node 1 is due today. So I know a lot of you have already turned it in, so thank you for doing that. Some of you are still doing that. That's okay too. I want to make sure you know how to turn it in. There's 2 things you need to keep an eye out for here as you submit it. So clicking on, I'm resubmitting. I'm in student view right now, so I'm clicking on this. It looks similar to what you will see with one important difference, unfortunately, that I can't show you. But what I would like for you to do when you submit this is submit it by website URL. So that's the second tab there. This is the correct way to do it. This is the way I need you to do it, if possible. You might be tempted to be like, well, I'm using Google Drive, so I'll click over here and then I'll find it in my drive and submit it that way. And Canvas makes it look easy. It makes it look like that works, but actually that does not work. That causes problems for me. So please use the website URL version. If you submit it by Google Drive, it looks to you like it works, but what I get is a blank iframe that I can't do much with, other than I can dig into the source code and find the token for your notebook and then view it in a browser, but it's several steps for me, and it would be much easier since there's a lot of you if you would all try to do it this way. Also, make sure that the URL to the notebook that you submit is a URL that lets me actually view your notebook. So if I click that link and it says I don't have permission, then I can request permission. I will. It's not a big deal, but it would be nice if I don't have to, because again, there's a lot of you. So what you want to do is make sure if you you can click on the people thing up here, click on the share thing, and then make sure it says anyone on the internet with this link can comment. Or you can also share it with me directly if you want to, zach.whalen@gmail.com. Either one of those, but it's easier just to say anyone can comment and then copy link and then submit that in Canvas. And then I will see it and I will be able to comment. If I get your link and I can't, then I'll just I'll just click the button and request access. It's not a big deal, but again, it does save me some time if you set it up the right way. Give me the link access to begin with. All right, looks like it just started. Yeah, the rain came back. The sun was out for a bit, and now the clouds came back, and it's raining again. So it has been the rainiest. August was super rainy, and then September seems like it's trying to do the same thing. It's been very, very wet, which is nice for certain plants. I was listening. It's actually not great for certain things that are supposed to be ripening now. I guess like the corn harvest is a little bit iffy because of how much rain we've been getting. I guess they needed to be dry. And I noticed my tomatoes were really good for a while, and I think they're. I don't know if it's too much water or if it's just late in the season, but they've been struggling a bit. It's hard to describe, but they get really buggy very quickly, and they taste pretty good still, but not quite as good as they used to. I feel like they need a little less water actually. Yeah. Ton of cucumbers though. We've had so many cucumbers, so many that we can't eat them all. We've been having to throw some away. Okay, so and we get really big ones. Like what's really, you think you go out there and you're like, oh, we got all the cucumbers. Then it's like really easy to miss them, and then like you forget to harvest it, and then it's like these cucumbers like this big. It's like, what am I going to do with a football-sized cucumber? It's. I mean.
They taste bitter anyway.
Yeah, and some of them taste really bad, as my daughter just pointed out. Some of them are great, and some of them are terrible, and we don't know why. Make massive amounts of sushi? Yeah, I could. Yeah, I did. What I did is I put 3 or 4 of the big ones into a food processor and like shredded them and made like a salad out of that. That was really good, with like sesame oil and some rice vinegar. It was great. It's kind of sushi-like in the flavor profile, but just the cucumber part. So. But yeah, making sushi is very difficult. I used to have a kit for it, and I tried it, but it was very, very challenging. It was challenging to me. It may be easy for you or someone else. Okay, so let's talk about a couple other things. The other thing I guess I did want to just sort of open up as a conversation, if you have any thoughts, though I'm keeping an eye on time, but it's a general conversation. We are going back face to face next week, and 2 things about that. You may have questions about when you're supposed to be where, as far as this class. I hope that's getting pretty well settled at this point. But I did, just to show you the complexity of this, I started making a flow chart in Twine, just to give you all like an ability. The idea would be like let me show you the idea. This is not complete, but the idea is that you would be able to say like, oh, today is Monday. I'm in section 1. Where am I supposed to be? But as you can see, like, I didn't even get a quarter of the way done, but it's already very complicated. Hopefully that part of it makes sense. That some of you are fully online, but you're synchronous, like attached to a specific section. Some of you are fully online, but you're asynchronous, meaning you're going to be watching the streams after the fact and participating more in Canvas than in Discord in terms of conversation, discussions. Some of you are in a Wednesday face-to-face cohort. Some of you are in a Friday face-to-face cohort, and there are two cohorts for each day. So there's a section 1 cohort, section 2 cohort Monday, and section 1 and section 2 cohorts for Friday. So there's a lot of that, but hopefully you figured that out, right? Hopefully you know which of those categories you're in for each of those different options. I am just kind of curious though about the broader question of going back and what your thoughts, questions, concerns are about that. The university has been putting out a lot of messaging, lots of videos, lots of Facebook campaigns, lots of things going out there. So, as far as information, hopefully you've been able to see that. But I just, I haven't heard from you all, and I'm kind of curious about, what are your thoughts, concerns, and does that change or has that changed? So Amber has a question. Let me try to answer. Is the day of the week that is in the title of the cohort the day we meet in person? Yes. That's the idea. So, yes, you are. So Wednesday, for Amber, I have you in Wednesday's section. I want to see your question, Jesse. Wednesday's section 2 for Amber. Yes, that's the idea. Typing my question here, my answer here to Amber. Yeah. So then, Amber, I would expect to see you face to face on Wednesday at 2:50. So hopefully that makes sense. So Jesse, where the class is and parking. Yeah, that's a good point. Hopefully you've seen a campus map. if you get lost the first time, you know, of course, I can hopefully help you figure it out. If you are, yeah, I would recommend the parking deck probably. I usually park like down the hill from the HCC, but there's only a handful of spaces there, and I usually get there pretty early so I can get them. But if you're coming late, that's a little harder, and also you kind of have to go through the woods to get to it. But I think the parking, yeah, the garage is good. And yes, we are in the HCC room 327. And room 327 is, well, I mean, I can describe how to get there, but I mean, it's kind of hard to, unless you know the building already, it's kind of hard to describe. It does flood down there, yes. Also, it gets really muddy sometimes. If you go through up the hill there, or through the woods is usually okay. It's mostly gravel, but there has been a lot of this. I don't know what's been going on back there, but some kind of construction and like a big ditch. So it's pretty muddy back there, like all the time now. The last few times I've been there, it was muddy. So I've been parking in the garage. So Jesse, let me see. You are Friday section 2. So face-to-face classes in general start on Monday. But for my class, you are in the Friday section 2 cohort. So I would not expect to see you face-to-face until Friday at 2:50. I mean, I might see you before then, but that's when I would expect to see you for this class. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. So the HCC is, I don't know, it's not a very confusing building, except that some people don't realize the floor numbers when they're first getting acquainted to the building. So if you're on Campus Walk, I don't know why I'm moving my hands around, because I don't know if this don't help you, but well, maybe I can find a map of campus up here. This is actually an interesting problem. So let me see. Oh, you know, maybe I could just go to Google Maps and zoom in that way. I wonder if we have Street View down Campus Walk. You know what I mean? Like because sometimes it's a pedestrian area, but sometimes pedestrian areas do have Street View. Let's see what we can find. So here's the Hurley Convergence Center, or the Verge, the Hurl, whatever you want to call it. Let's see if we have face-to-face. I mean, Street View. Really? No Street View? Okay, that's annoying. Well. So let me turn that off. I know what Street View is. Okay, switch to this. Getting advice from the floor over here. So this is actually a little bit easier to see this way. Hopefully this doesn't slow down my stream too much. But this is the parking structure over here, and there's like a little walkway. Hopefully you can see where I'm going, and you go kind of across Alvey, and it looks like you're sort of in the back parking lot to this dorm, which is, I guess, I always forget which is which, but one of these is Alvey and one of these is Arrington. And you go between them through this little passageway to Campus Walk, and this is Campus Walk, which is like kind of the main walk of campus. Okay, so then if you go in, this is the way I would recommend coming into the Convergence Center. There is also a back door, but I would recommend going through the Campus Walk side for the first time. And you can kind of see it, but kind of not. This little shape right here is the front entrance to the Convergence Center. So you'll see it that way. This Convergence Center building kind of wraps around and goes over Campus Walk. But the part where you go in is right there. You might, the last couple of times I've been there, it's you needed your key card still. So you might still need your ID, your student ID to get in. It's like you wave it in front of the thing and it unlocks. But probably not for when classes are resuming. But you go in, and the floor you walk in here is actually the second floor. So in terms of room numbering, you'll need to go up to get to 327. So you walk in, you see the information desk, and it looks very different, by the way. For those of you who know this building, I mean, you will recognize it, obviously, but it looks very different. It's very empty. You'll see that there are like the normal sort of gathering space, and I think they call it the atrium in front of the media wall. That's almost totally empty. Anything that's movable in the building is in a different place than you would expect it to be, or than it was used to. So you walk in those entrances. There's some steps next to the info desk. You go up those stairs, they kind of go forward and then they come back around. And then when you get to the top of the stairs, turn right. So turn towards the elevator and then go to the end of that hallway that you see there. And that's 327 is the last two doors on the right. 327 is a big room, so it's two doors down there. And if you aren't sure at the info desk, there will be someone at the info desk there, and you can ask them for help, and they can tell you where to go if you get lost. So yeah, it's not too bad once you get used to it. There's only 3 classrooms in the Convergence Center. There's lots of rooms, but there's only 3 that are actual like classrooms, and they are all on the 3rd floor, which is the floor above the one you enter on if you come in from Campus Walk. So yes, that's right, Jesse Bear. Thanks, Emily, for clarifying. Yes. And yeah, and the other thing, I mean, maybe you figured this out, like you can see which cohort people are in if you hover over their names. I think you can see which role they're in, and also they're color coded. So anybody that's green is going to be that Friday group, Friday section 2 group. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, any other thoughts, questions, concerns, comments about going face to face? I mean, one of the big questions, I guess, is, will it last? And what do we need to do to make it last? I don't know. I mean, it's just so hard to say the future, but I've been on campus. It looks really different. It looks really well prepared to me. I mean, it's not, I know that's not the only thing that will determine whether we can stay face to face, but as far as the physical space of the classrooms and just any of the public areas, they are all very much channeled towards being able to use them without being near people, if that makes sense. So, I don't know. I certainly hope we can stay face to face. I think there's a lot of advantages to that. I think that obviously, that's how this class was originally designed, was to be face to face. I mean, that said, I think the online version is going pretty well so far. So, if we have to, I'm not really worried about this class. I think we'll be fine. But I think the university would be better if we can stay face to face. I think there's all kinds of social reasons and psychological reasons for being able to see people and talk to them. So I think there's a lot to be said for that, and I hope we can make it work. Just don't forget your mask. You will not be allowed in the building without a mask. I don't think there are going to be like masked police at the door, but I guess the idea is that we will create a culture of expectations around wearing masks. So if you see someone without a mask, then it is okay to say to them, you need to have a mask on, or to, remind them. We just kind of have to get used to that, even if it's awkward. And that's something that I can probably do a little easier as a sort of authority figure, as a professor. I can say these kinds of things. If you notice someone wearing a mask and not wearing a mask, and you don't feel comfortable saying something, then ask me to say something if I'm around or whatever, and we can hopefully, or another professor or staff member, and they can hopefully do that. But yeah, it's going to be awkward in some cases, but we really just have to get in the habit of always wearing a mask. In 327, at least, there are, when I was there the other day, they had a huge bucket of sanitizing wipes, like a 5-gallon bucket with like the pull-out wipe thing. So it's kind of like this Clorox, I don't know what you call them, but containers that are cylinders, and you pull them out. It's like that, but huge. And so I think the idea is, like, as you arrive in class, grab one of those wipes, wipe down your area, and then wipe it down again before you leave, and keep your mask on the whole time. While we were there, we will have the opportunity to have conversations like this. So like right now, I'm doing all the talking. I imagine many of you listening to this have complex ideas and feelings about returning to campus, and this is an example of the kind of conversation that would be much more natural, much more, I guess, democratic, or even and level, if we were able to have this conversation face to face. And there will be other conversations like this that come up in DGSD 395. So I certainly look forward to that opportunity face to face. But we'll have to see. I guess I have to say, like, there are reasons to be optimistic. Like, this is not just a act of desperation by UMW. Like, I think the campus is very well prepared, as much as it could be. I think it's much better prepared than some other schools. There have been high-profile stories, and stories about schools that went back face to face and then had to shut down again. James Madison is the big one. That is probably on your mind. UMW is a very different school, but also there are lots and lots of schools that have gone back face-to-face and it's going well. Like, that's fine. Where they have no cases or very few cases on campus, and their distancing and cleaning plans are working. And so I think that's really the majority of schools. The ones that are that you hear about are the ones where it's gone badly, and you just don't hear about the ones where it's going well because it's just going well. There's nothing really to report. It's fine. So I think there's plenty of reason to believe that that will be the case for us, and certainly to hope for it to be the case for us. But all that said, if you do decide that you're not comfortable coming back face to face, if you want to change your modality or your cohort, then that is still an option. And yeah, no news is good news, and that's maybe that's what all we can. I mean, that's our best case scenario, is that this is just a boring semester where we have to deal with a lot of extra stuff. But otherwise it's just that stuff that we have to deal with, just the stuff of wearing masks and distancing and cleaning, or MMDC, right? Was it masks, distance, clean? What's the other one? Right? Isn't MMDC? We're supposed to keep reminding you about all this, but now I've already forgotten what the second M is. Maybe it's mandatory masks, distance, cleaning? That doesn't sound right. It's like 4 different things. Well, anyway, whatever it is, just once we figure out what it is, remember it. So actually, this whole idea of going back or not going back is actually a little bit relevant to, monitor, right? Okay, yeah, thanks. Thanks, Amber. So so it's mask, like wear a mask everywhere you go. Monitor, as in do the survey. Yeah, click the link every morning, and then stay socially distanced and clean. Yeah, there it is. So this whole idea about should we go back or not, this actually is the kind of decision process that maps pretty well to the thing I asked you to do for the final thing in your node. And I thought it might be worth looking at for this. I don't know if we have time to, yeah, we don't have time. But this is the kind of thing that you could imagine as a flowchart kind of decision, or even express as a Python function, right? So these are the gating conditions that are things that have to be true for us to continue having face-to-face class. So the way that I phrase that actually models how you would phrase a function if you were describing a narrative, like describing a function as a narrative. So we've got 4 gating conditions, and think of these as if-then kind of statements in Python, right? So if positive trends are consistent, blah, 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 right? So if that's good, we keep going. If healthcare capacity is good, we keep going. If the climate of adherence is good, we keep going. If the plan is good. In other words, if one of these things becomes false, that's where we have to decide. Now, some of these things are subjective, like or complicated. Like these aren't as straightforward as, is this thing the same as that thing? The idea of a positive trend is certainly something that could be interpreted different ways. So like there's definitely some subjectivity in this, but you could almost like just take these and let's try it. Actually, we can probably do this, right? So if we did this as code, you could type these in here, and I'll make these all comments. So you could almost be like, if trends, are greater than 1, or trends. I don't know. I mean, I'm making up pseudocode here, so it doesn't matter. But if trends are greater than 1, and we could actually probably do this as a combined condition, because all of these things have to be true. So if trends are greater than 1 and capacity is less than 100, let's say 100, that's 100%, right? And adherence is happening, and plan is, or we'll just keep going with, is plan approved equals 1. Like all those things could be conditions that could be tested for, and then we would just say return true, right? And we would continue. But if at some point one of those fails, then that's when we might have to shut down. But again, these are these are not entirely straightforward. These are not things that could be expressed as simplistically as I have here in this function, but it's a similar kind of logical flow, right? You still have to think about all of these things together. Yeah, that's right. That email, that's the one constant. And I don't know. I mean, I've gotten the habit. I literally, that is like the first thing I do as I get up in the morning. After I like turn off my alarm, I just click the link and then go through it. You know. Another thing that I would recommend, by the way, I don't know if we have time to go. Yeah, we don't have time, but maybe you're already doing this. But the state of Virginia has an app, and I do often talk about kind of surveillance culture and you know, things that people should be aware of in terms of you know, just surveillance. And I do often in this class in particular, 101 to some extent too, kind of help students be aware of and limit the ways in which people can track them. So given that, that kind of conversation you might be a little concerned about, or might have heard about the different apps. And I guess I wanted to very briefly, I guess, endorse the COVIDwise app. If you don't already have this, it's a free app, obviously. This is done the right way. Like, there are different ways you can think about contact tracing with phones, but this is the one that's done in a way that protects your privacy. It only works though if a lot of people are using it. So I do encourage you to use it. I do endorse this app and recommend it. The way it works is, I mean, you can look, there's different, you know, ways of understanding it, but, and I think this Google video probably explains it pretty well, but the idea is it uses Bluetooth and it is constantly sending out random strings of characters, and then people that also have this app are receiving those random strings of characters. And then if a person reports a diagnosis, a positive test, then it reports that it attaches the positive test to all of the phones that received those random numbers from my phone if I reported that I had a positive test. So it doesn't say, hey, you spend some time with Zach Whalen, so you should probably get tested. It just says someone that you were nearby for a sufficient amount of time tested positive, so you should get tested as well. And it seems very minimally invasive, and I think it's also structured in the right way, so there's not a centralized idea of who got who tested positive. So it's not something that anyone would have access to, certainly, except maybe the administrator of the actual database. So that's basically, I think it's done the right way, and so I recommend it to you. Okay, so I want to make sure to wrap it up soon because I have to go. But if you do have any questions about what to do when or where, then this would be a good time to pose those questions before I wrap things up. I just want to make sure I've touched on everything. Yeah, I think I've touched on the main things in terms of housekeeping and logistics. I guess to remind you about that, no class or anything on Friday. Friday is a day off for some of you to move back in, but if you are not moving in, of course, you know, it's just a day off. Feel free to do whatever. Feel free to keep working on your node, for example. On Monday, I will do another live stream on this coming Monday, just like I'm doing now. And on that Monday, I will be introducing you to the next node. It'll be node 2, and it will probably cover a lot. It will probably be focused on artificial intelligence, which will actually end up being a lot of the same kind of things we're talking about already with algorithms, but slightly different angle. But dealing with the idea of artificial intelligence, and there'll be a series of tasks and things to try out and to read and prepare. Also within that, I'm going to give you instructions that are differentiated for your different cohorts, but it'll all be a single notebook. So it'll be a complicated notebook again, but I'll do my best to structure it so that you can find the parts you need to work on and work through. But hopefully it won't be too bad. But that'll be Monday when I kind of introduce that, and then give you any reminders I need to about face-to-face kind of things and plans. Again, you know, some of you I will see on next Wednesday, some on Friday. Some of you I won't see at all, but that's okay. So let me know if you have any questions, or if you feel like you need to switch a cohort or anything like that. That is still fine, but the sooner you tell me, the better, so I can make sure that I give you the right information. Okay, so I'm about ready to wrap it up because my voice is tired. So any questions before I go? Let me see. Okay, actually there's some conversation here in the tech support channel that I just saw. And I think that's been happening today. So okay, so let me see if I can jump in on that. Maybe probably not for a little while because I have to go, but I do see your questions in the tech support channel and I understand them and I think I can help, but I can't answer them right now because I have to go. But if you see someone else in there, let me know. Let me just kind of I will just say in general with anything code related for this class, all I can ask is do your best. And if it doesn't work, if it doesn't do what I asked you to do with it or what you expected it to do, this is okay. We can work with that. That doesn't mean you failed or that you're going to get a failing grade. It just means that you have some things to look at and work on, and that's fine. That's totally okay. So don't worry too much about that. I will say the most recent question, Samantha, it is as the error suggests there is an issue with indentation. The question is maybe how to fix it, but because you've already got kind of a complicated structure there, but indentation matters in Python, and that's what that error is telling you about. And then for Devin, the question is that cell that you've got there actually doesn't produce anything. It just defines several things, so it's not going to actually print anything out. So that's if you run it and you get nothing, that's correct. So it's just understanding what it did. That's the issue, and that's the the real thing to work through with that. So I can add some thoughts there in a little while, but not for a little bit because I have to go run a couple of errands. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you all on Monday, or you will see me on Monday, and then we'll see each other whenever we can, but hopefully soon. Hopefully some of you I will be seeing pretty soon. Okay, thanks everyone. Have a good afternoon and good time moving in if you're moving in, and good weekend. See you later. Bye.